Like I said, your way all day.
I don't know what you got going on, Glenn. But you seem like you got some personal problem.
My son's up for murder on Monday.
If your son up for murder, don't take it out on people who trying to help you. You're not understanding that you calling the office doing all that when you really the problem. You need to take care of what you need to take care of. Your paperwork situation, they ain't got nothing to do with
and you need to take care of. That's what you should have
told me when I first came. Something about paperwork. You keep talking about your caseworker took care of it. That's cool. That's something you're supposed to do. I'm your caregiver. I'm supposed to clean up around here and listen to what you tell me to do. Anything you told me to do, I did it for you.
Okay, keep
going.
So
I don't know what you talking about.
Keep
going.
To
call off and do all that for what?
Keep going.
Because I don't want you lying, telling us I said this and that to you.
Oh, it's being recorded.
I'm telling you what you doing wrong. Keep talking about paperwork. I don't know nothing about no paperwork. You never told me about no paperwork that your case man had to take care of yesterday.
All I've asked you to do was go to the store.
And I went to the store.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I grabbed for you.
But you're not here to yell at me.
I'm not even yelling. I'm talking to you how you talking
You are authoritatively addressing me in an undertone. Okay?
I'm talking to you how you talking to me, man. Ain't this how you talk to people when you call the job?
No.
This is how you yell at them, right? This is how you talk to the people when you upset. So
when they're talking down to me,
I'm not yelling at you. That's one thing you ain't finna say I'm doing.
Well, obviously we have a disagreement then.
Yeah, over medicine that you told me to get yesterday, and I went to go get for you. You complain about it being a wrong thing, but that's clearly the same medicine.
No, it's not.
Clearly the same thing.
No, it's not. One says PM, one doesn't.
One says PM, one doesn't. So why you didn't just say that yesterday? You say grab you the exact same medicine. I'm not looking at no PM. I'm looking at the same pain relief that you told me to grab.
Your way all day.
Exactly.
Yep. Your way all day. He said, she said, I can't prove shit, right? Is that how you run your job at Sollywood? He said, she said, can't prove shit? Hello, friends and enemies of YouTube, children of another birth. I'm not sure if I'm coming through loud and clear or not. I had audio problems earlier today, but I don't suppose that's really going to matter. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you're curious. And if you have inquiries, I will explain. But from this point forward, I have no courtesies to offer. And I hope you take this into deep consideration and retroflect upon yourself as I get this stream going.
Yeah, so I wake up this morning and I see a message, and it's Access Rattblood. Are you here, Rattblood? And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
I'm Access fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood, I see. All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about it.
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access. Are you here, Rattblood?
I'm Access fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood. Most abundant and successful king hero that we are all sitting at this very moment. Are you willing to accept that as a truth? That you are a worthy man? and that your penis is okay.
All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that, man. All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that, man.
Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood?
Who the fuck is Axis Rattblood?
I'm Axis fucking Rattblood, bitch.
All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that, man. I don't know what to do about it.
I'm Axis fucking Rattblood. Okay, friends and enemies of the metaverse. After just a few days, or more over a year, and knowing that that cycle of that particular procession in my life has come to a head, and in a few days we'll have achieved a result. And I look back at my personal journeys into pretty extreme mental and physical dispositions, and I tried to share as best that I could these states of, I don't know, observation, experience, uh, comprehension, and with all that, and being as directly transparent as I possibly could be, and retaining the same state and position of trying to interact with people, I have found that no matter how severe or how much duress one person can be in, whether it's the waking world or the metaverse, there is a lot of platitude. There's a lot of empty sympathy. There is an extreme amount of opinionated idealism that people have to offer. And I don't think that anybody has truly taken on the extensiveness of not only my situation, but their own. And I'm probably going to piss half of YouTube off tonight, if not all of YouTube, if I get any type of listeners, if I get any type of panelists, or even engagers in the chat. I figure mostly I will get the occasional lurker instead of someone who's willing to stand their mantle. This does not include Gen X Jeff, who on Halloween displayed a wonderful disposition for the circumstances that I was going through without judgment, without contempt, without restraint on what my perspective and what I was trying to relay at that time, which, yes, me, me. Like that, Dom? Talking about me because I'm important to me. And as much as you interact with people, you have an agenda. And for you to disassociate yourself from your agenda and say that it's just knowledge, you are the one receiving, alchemizing, and transmitting that information. And that you can't disassociate from. And I understand your indifference and your state of perspective. You know, you're only here to give information. Well, why don't you just post your information without complaining of the noise, and especially now when it comes to me, because to bring it to your attention, Dom, there was a point where I had reached a state where I was considering deleting myself. And I thought, instead of being bastardized or having an intervention team called, I could personally confide in somebody who might relevantly give some type of suggestion, empathy, or support. I apologize for intruding in your world, Dom. I do understand how you hate noise. And as for the esoteric and the energy crowd that seems to have this concept that they're able to manifest, manipulate, alter, or even have control over the design set of personalized energies is probably no more than, to my notion, an intermediate layman at best. People do love to watch, just like a voyeur, you know. And I'm wondering, anything that just observes and refrains from having any acceptance of their attachment to what they are relaying as information. Fuck, that sounds like an AI computer to me. Truly, an AI computer. What truly do you have to offer except your personal logic? You are without empathy, you are without compassion, and I have seen this displayed in your emotional outbursts which are quite interesting because you've even learned to manipulate that into your advantage. You know, we all come across on YouTube in different various forms and ways. I originally started out with music and wound up doing a live panel. And I allowed that to go and coincide with my waking state, my ethereal state, my personal journeys on the border of complete exhaustion, dehydration, and meditation and fasting to the point where I had reached the state of virtually tumbling over the edge into a demise, to bring back my own understanding of my environment and various other environments that we aren't able to observe. Take note, Cage, and this isn't a bastardizing pun against anyone. This is just a recognition from my standpoint because I cannot allow myself to come across transparently, and I try to do this in a way that is as close to factual where I am concerned as a being, and others just personify. And I think anything that has to wear a mask or has to deflect responsibility for their actions, and the minute you do anything, speak, conjecture, to hand motion, to even your changing state of energy, is a personification of your attachment to whatever it is you think you're not projecting and are just informing. For the true observer would be without an opinion or an ideal of their opinion. A true observer would be indifferent. And what they took from that would be their own. I'm not in their body. And even the many times that I've went to cage reality and was in a desperate state of whether it be sickness or binging or purging, I always knew that when I went there, at least I could try and get some type of coherent conversation to the situation to take my mind off of the extreme amount of sometimes damage and sometimes just complete mental overload and sometimes complete physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion. And he could at least at one point in time empathize because of curiosity. But once the curiosity left, then came the browbeating. And it seems like every time that I find myself in a weakened state and I reach out for just the most minute amount of compassion, understanding, empathy, um, or even just somebody to hang 10 with me. And that's not to say that I don't know that I am an eccentric individual to try and get along with, interpretate, or even deal with. But even Cage had to start browbeating. And that browbeating became more extensive and more extensive. And then it come to the point where I couldn't get any other response than a prefabricated, pre-published, or a repetitive motto of how I should deal with things. I am the one inside of here that has to deal with things. And once things become overbearing to the point where people are trying to influence, not suggest, and we'll cut Dom out of this because he doesn't suggest, he's just relaying information. That's all he does. He's not even attached to it. Shit. You know, I've dealt with Dom for a long time. But just like whenever I have certain individuals around me in real life that at least are honest enough to say that you die, man, you die. I don't give a fuck. And I still interact with them because I know what their disposition is. They're being honest. And there are certain people that if I was around and they were on their dying last breath, you know, I wouldn't bother to even remotely interfere with it. You know, I may do something so horrifically offensive to them on their way out that most of you would pop your safety protocols into place and say, "How dare you, you monster?" Well, I'm here to tell you, you may be a bigger monster than me because I have held reserve. My only regret in the nature of this, and it is a shame that I have to use the word regret, was that I stopped using frequency, technology, subliminalism, and suggestive influence to control the emotional state and the cerebral state of a lot of people who occupy these platforms, whether they are the platform management, or we won't call them owner because they don't own shit. They're borrowing. Sometimes they pay to be able to borrow. And the ever elusive panelists with their grandiose wisdom that they seem to have acquired, mostly what I've seen through YouTube, or they're a mockingbird of some type of academic or college, and they want to express this ideal that they have such a cognizant understanding of the human condition that when they come on, not only do they need to go to one panel, two panels, three panels, but they are so filled with their indoctrinated truth and how it fits in the grand schemes of things that I have seen them go day after day after day on panel after panel after panel. And I'm thinking, damn, somebody with that much intelligence that they can spend 24 plus hours and then right back up to it must surely have an abundance of information to relay to us poor, unintelligent, needy, seeking connoisseurs of the wisdom of YouTube and what this has to offer. And to them, I say shame on you for knocking the opportunity of somebody else who may have something of value to say outside of your repetitive, babbling mouths that seem to be so persistent on panels that other people are either driven away, intimidated, or victims to that high powered intellect that you seem to want to inflict on people to correct them or govern their lives with your ideals. Hey Tab, yeah, you're more than welcome to. I'm in rare form tonight. Oh, hello Tab.
Hey, how's it going, Axis?
Well, I don't know if you heard the opening prelude to this stream, but
No,
I
I
have
didn't
been
hear.
brought. You didn't hear it? Here, I'm
No,
going to allow you to hear it so you can get a concept and an ideal of the straw that broke the camel's back. This is my
okay.
in-home nurse, and this is the last thing he said to me, and this is the last time he'll ever enter my home. More or less, any other individuals that have done the exact same thing on a consistent and have not followed through with any of their proprietary and expectation and performance. So here you go.
Okay.
Like I said, your way all
I
day.
don't know what you got going on. I don't know what you got going on, Glenn. But you seem like you got some personal problems.
My son's up for murder on
If
Monday.
your son up for murder, don't take it out on people who trying to help you. You're not understanding that you calling the office doing all that when you really the problem. You need to take care of what you need to take care of. Your paperwork situation, they ain't got nothing to do with
And
it.
you need to
That's
take
what you
care
should have
of.
told me when I first came. Something about paperwork. You keep talking about your caseworker took care of it. That's cool. That's something you're supposed to do. I'm your caregiver. I'm supposed to clean up around here and listen to what you tell me to do. Anything you told me to do, I did it for you.
Okay, keep
So I don't know
going.
what you talking about.
Keep
You trying
going.
to call off and do all that for what?
Keep going.
Because I don't want you lying, telling us I said this and that to you.
Oh, it's being
really,
recorded.
I'm telling you what you doing wrong. Keep talking about paperwork. I don't know nothing about no paperwork. You never told me about no paperwork that your case man had to take care of yesterday.
All I've asked you to do was go to the store.
And I went to the store.
Yeah, that's
And what
fine.
I grabbed for you.
But you're not here to yell at me.
I'm not even yelling. I'm talking to you how you talking.
You are authoritatively addressing me in an undertone. Okay?
I'm
I
talking to you how you
appreciate that.
talking to me, man. Ain't this how you talk to people when you call the job?
No.
This how you yell at them, right? This is how you talk to the people when you upset. So
When they're talking down to me,
I'm not
yeah.
yelling at you. That's one thing you ain't finna say I'm doing.
Well, obviously we have a disagreement then.
Yeah, over medicine that you told me to get yesterday, and I went to go get for you. You complain about it being a wrong thing, but that's clearly the same medicine.
No,
Exactly.
it's not.
Exactly. Clearly the same thing.
No, it's not. One says PM, one doesn't.
One say PM, one doesn't. So why you didn't just say that yesterday? You say grab you the exact same medicine. I'm not looking at no PM. I'm looking at the same pain relief that you told me to grab.
Your way all day.
Exactly.
Yep. Your way all day. He said, she said, I can't prove shit, right? Is that how you run your job at Sollywood? He said, she said, can't prove shit?
Now,
Wow.
that is exactly how my health care that I pay to have in my home to take care of me treats me. And it was the last straw. My son, they offered him a good deal, 10 years as opposed to 80, and he denied it, and he starts trial Monday. I was out of medicine, which was my Klonopin and my neuromedicine, for 3 days. And this is how, after 3 days of me withdrawing, this guy wants to approach me. And I was completely unmedicated. And I'm in a state of duress, which most people couldn't even fathom. Oh, they'll say they could. And they'll make all kinds of limerick about how they've been through worse and this, that, and another. And that may be true, but I'm not talking about them. I can point them out. I can even tell how their interactions with me were not only damaging, but completely just completely non-beneficial to my endeavor. So I went cold after that. And, you know, as much as some of these characters on here I've really grown to become used to, I've really had to take a step back analysis. And I am ready to confront any of them, each and every one of them. Because if it's easy for them to point at me, if it's easy for them to suggest, direct, or even apply an opinion to my existence, means that they think they have something to offer. And I'm questioning them. What have you offered me that has been beneficial? What have you given me that has helped me deal with the extremes of my circumstances and duress that I could even utilize? And I want them to step up to plate. You got mouths, you run them all fucking day, you're on everybody's fucking panels, you're in the chat with your highly YouTube educated opinion, you got the answers for everybody to hear you tell it without any credible history to back it or proof, but yet you feel qualified enough to demonize, to comment, or to even pick and chisel away pieces of what I have given as just experiences that I've been through in many different aspects. I never asked no one to follow me. I never asked no one to believe in me. I never asked to be anybody's role model. YouTube to me was just a social investment because I'm dead fast and I have none other. But when I'm meeting incredible opposition on YouTube and in my real life and with my family, namely my son and my mother, it became so overwhelming that I had to completely disassociate and find that safe place in me to shelter from the storm. And it's generally, which it is at this point, a very vile, dark, and black place where most people dare to tread, but I hold my ground there.
Wow. So I guess there's been people that's been commenting or that came on your live or something. What happened?
Oh hell, I could, if I had $100 for every time that Tommy, since my son got in trouble, called me um, a piece of shit parent, my son's a murderer, and
Hmm.
oh yeah, I've got it all documented, you know, and that's all he did for almost 6 months. That seemed to
Mm.
be whatever got his, if he has a cock, hard was being able to call my son a murderer and demean me for it. You know, that
Mm.
takes a toll. Dom, he doesn't have an opinion either way because he claims to be an observer. But Dom hasn't ever listened to the point. If you're relaying something, whether it be sign language or verbally, you're attached to it. It's not just free floating information. If it was, it would be written in a book. But instead, it is energy projected from a source of energy. You can't disassociate from that. And the minute you open your mouth, you're no longer an observer, you're a participant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see your point on that.
But don't tell Dom that.
No, no, no. I meant what I'm trying to say is I see your point on that. I see how you're following the way your mind is following um this point you're making.
And it runs very dark and very deep. And I no longer want anybody else's opinions. I don't want their thrusted idealism or their great insight. You know, I can get
Mm,
platitudes all day long. I could go across the street to the AA building and get patted on the back and called a wonderful person from the beginning to the end of them being opened with a bunch of ill-fated rejects that have been through probably more than they should have subjected themselves to when it comes to drugs and alcohol. But the difference is they're not cerebrally broke down their safety protocols. And that kind of puts me in a different state where they stop, and especially with most of the characters on YouTube, I can hit their safety protocols because they give measure of themselves. but they want to put that measurement of themselves on me so that what? They feel that they've been beneficial.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
dare any of them to take this panel. I truly do. And if they had any integrity, if they had 1 ounce of cerebral dignity at this point, I am in an individual perspective position, flailing at anything that dares to impose itself on me because I've had enough.
So you're not talking about like what we do. We share like you share information with me. I'm sharing information with you. There's not a conflict. I think what you're describing is people who are telling you what you're saying is not right and like judging you. Is that what they're doing?
It's people who hide behind a persona.
Ah.
They give a false sense of not only their intelligence, generally their life position, and some even take it to a metaphysical point of giving a false sense of themselves as being
Being what? Uh-oh. I think maybe you've gotten lost or disconnected. If you can hear me, I can't hear you, Axis. Yeah, you're gone. Well, I know you'll come back. But to respond to your point, um, yeah, I see what you're talking about. That bothers me because there are some people who want to claim a position, and their position allows them to, as you described, speak their truth, say what they want to say, give their view, and their view may directly or indirectly criticize or put down, belittle. Maybe that's the perception that we individually have. Their views may put down or belittle our views, and they want to express that, but they're not willing to allow you to have that full expression with them
yep,
if they feel threatened. That seems to be how they behave. They feel threatened. They don't want to hear what you've got to say, but they want to be free to threaten you and your view, and then claim a position that holds them not responsible for what they're saying because they're in this enlightened or higher state or position.
yeah, I'm back now. YouTube
Ah,
didn't like what I was saying.
you got booted. I've never had that
Yeah,
happen with you while I was on with you.
well, I haven't ever been this energetically um, singularized in my approach.
Mm,
I've always tried to give way to at least some courtesy for other people's ideals, thoughts, and perceptions. And I've tried to cater to that with some discretion and dignity. But after reviewing the last year of my interactions on YouTube, in the waking world, with my family, with my peers, I discovered that they're not going to do one thing that does not benefit them.
Mhm.
Not one thing. Then I get to see this in a very interesting way. Now, if I was to jump on here and let's say I was doing a live stream on the profoundness of how to utilize the influencing of the field, manipulating energies, or maybe even as far as summoning demons. Well, you know, they all want a piece of that,
Mhm.
you know, so they can ooh and ah and point fingers and have
Mhm.
something to talk about because their lack of cerebral expansion and broadness brings them to the point where they are just consumers of entertainment
Mhm.
only. They do not exercise in any shape, form, or manner the approach to the discipline that it takes to reach a state of mind where not only can you observe the unseen geometry behind this place, not only that, but you can understand the language of creation to a degree more profoundly, which I've tried to teach. You learn frequencies, the pros and cons. I tried to teach. They're all in my live streams. But do you think anybody endeavored to embark on those disciplines? It's a waste of breath. My breath.
I wouldn't say that it's a waste of your breath. If I could just say something about that, I don't. I think I know right now that's how you perceiving it. But if you can allow me to share how I perceive it from this side, from the receiving side of it, which is that you are imprinting a message that is not only for the ears today, it's for ears of tomorrow. For those, you're planting seeds, okay, and some of those seeds don't grow, they don't come to fruition straight away, but those who are ready to hear the message, it hits them at a time when they need it. Some of the things that I listened to in 2017, I'm finally understanding it, and I'm going back and revisiting it, or it's being recalled for me. So I want to help you have another perspective on this, because it may seem that it's not going anywhere or it has been a waste, but it has absolutely not been a waste for me.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you were able to gather something and utilize it. That's impressive. Very
Absolutely.
impressive.
And also, I just want to say to you, I don't hold a show. Do you see me starting a live? Why not? Because it takes a certain quality, a level that you have attained already, and you are in when you are hosting a show, you are putting yourself in a place where you're in a battle. You're also learning, you're learning to stay strong, stay firm, do not be moved and swayed by all of the crap that comes and is thrown at you. From so a lot of it is just nonsense, and so you are in a different level where many of us have not achieved or attained that level of confidence. And so that's also something you have to see, that you have an ability and that it is very valuable.
And that's a very positive way of looking at it. Um, and I appreciate that observation. And I truly would like to have seen that in a broader spectrum of people. But I travel from channel to channel sometimes, day by day and year by year. Now, I will say that yesterday, when I thought I was going to die, I was in the third day of extreme benzo withdrawal and completely disassociated and in a state of mind that unless you were severely withdrawing from benzos and going through the psychosis I was, couldn't possibly understand. But Gen X Jeff, as his channel, allowed me up and just allowed me to utilize the information on his channel to help keep my mind focused away from the withdrawals and the psychosis that I was going through. And he
Mm,
was very, very professional about it. And it helped. It really did until I got my medicine this morning. But
yeah.
I do remember those in the chat and some of the really demeaning statements that were being presented. And I thought, if I was on the verge of suicide, statements like that would have probably kicked me right over the edge. Both are proud of yourself.
Yeah. But that just shows their level of consciousness or unconsciousness. And the fact that you were aware, the one that was aware that your body was in a certain state, and you also was aware of how other people were insensitive and also unaware of their behavior and its effect on others. That state of consciousness that you were using, that is what I'm pointing at. That state of consciousness that was aware, and you made a choice. I'm not going to be moved by that. I'm aware of it, but I'm making a different choice. I'm not going to let that take me down. And that's what I'm trying to point at to you, that you have something that not everybody has, and it's a very powerful force. And I liken it um to what do I want to say, um his name was just in my mind. I'll think of it in a minute. But he was around trying to tell people about trying to wake people up to the world for 30 years before he really started seeing it kick in. And now the fruits of his labor is coming around. Oh, it's David. Oh, I don't know why I'm having a brain fart, but I'm just so focused on what you're saying. But I want you to, David Icke. David Icke. How long was he preaching what he was saying? And the ridicule. I mean, he took ridicule on a much bigger platform. I mean, wow, he was decimated. And look
Yeah,
at,
I was familiar with his struggle back in I think it was 88, 89 when I was first introduced to him.
mm-hmm,
I mean, I've since then outgrown um, some of the more less founded aspects that he has, but he does hit nerves and he hits points. But look how
mm-hmm,
demonized he is.
that's right. It takes some guts to be on a platform where you're in front of the public like that, like you're doing, Axis.
And I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate you coming up. It's just from from where I wound up after dealing with the extremes of the situations, that I've been through this year, and then them coming down to Monday is when my trial starts for my son. I just went 3 days of massive benzo withdrawal, and these aren't excuses, these are circumstances. And being belittled and demeaned by my in-home, and my mother being of no assistance to me whatsoever other than to lay the blame on me for where my son is. My only safety to remove myself from that situation was to become individualized. And the safest place there is in the darkest recesses where people are afraid to come to.
Mhm.
It's safe there for the individual that is me.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that this is an evil intent towards anyone. It is a first person perspective that are you truly, each and every one of you who have a mouth that you're opening on YouTube, truly convicted by what you're saying, and do you practice what you speak? Because if you don't, you're bastardizing yourself and everyone else that you speak to, which makes you the smallest minded individual in the library who can barely interpret the words.
Yes.
And it's a shame. It really is. Because I had hoped that, going into such a state of distress and duress that I would not have had to have resorted to this. But I told my mom, told my son, I told my case managers and my healthcare workers, you all want, and you want, and you want, and you don't stop wanting. And when there's nothing left for me to give, then I'm the bad guy until I can give you something. And then it starts all over. And that's the same with YouTube. Give me my entertainment, my little endorphin rush. Fuck what you got to say. If it sounds neat, I'll listen to it. Am I going to apply it? Absolutely not. Am I going to mimic it? You should. Yep, I sure am. Am I going to play the hermaphat, or am I going to play the fool? Or am I going to try them both on for size and just pretend that I'm disassociated from my own energies that I'm projecting?
Mhm.
What a contradiction, man. What a fucking contradiction. If you have no empathy for me, then admit it and say it. But don't pretend to rationalize me, agree with me, or even hold something of common value between us whenever you are so disassociated that you can't even empathize a person who's getting ready to take themselves out, or more or less one that has, because of this type of thinking, put themselves in a position where I dare you. I fucking dare you.
Yeah.
How how in any manner could anyone claim empathy, which I appreciate yours, to the point where they see a person in complete distress and duress, and that's like walking past a person bleeding on the sidewalk and going, shouldn't have got stabbed, and walking on. It's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what happens. You described exactly what happens. And I don't think people honestly access I don't think many of the Walking Dead, I'll venture to strike that out and say the Walking Dead, to refer to people who are asleep, but yet they believe that they are awake, and you can't tell them anything, and that's how they behave. They think they know what things mean. Many people think they know what empathy means, but they don't. Even I didn't know what it meant. I thought I knew. And some might even call me intelligent, but I did not know what empathy meant. And it took me, some of us have to experience the other side of it. Some have to literally experience what you have been experiencing in order for them to learn what it is that empathy is. But that's how this realm works. We learn by the opposite. That therefore we learn to go towards the light, to choose right behavior. Uh, but we learn it by perhaps oftentimes choosing wrong behavior. And it's only wrong when we get treated that way. And then we self reflect. But some people, they get treated that way and then they learn to treat other people that way. They have not reached the level of consciousness where they can self reflect.
I'm no longer able to display any type of patience for that, nor will I contribute any more breath to their further advancement, whether it be cerebrally, entertainment, or just to occupy their state of boredom for a moment or their obsessive addiction to social media.
Mm, yeah. I've opted for a similar path. I, for a while, had been looking for groups that I could join to have conversations with, because I, have been serious about learning and understanding and communicating with others. But what I realized is that oftentimes people are just can't wait to tell you what you need to be doing, but they don't want to hear anything that you have to say that may make them self reflect or make them feel bad about their behavior. And what I realized is that maybe my involvement was the problem, my state of mind about it was the problem. For me, it wasn't a problem. It was just a problem for me because I had an expectation of something that I wasn't getting from these people. And once I stopped, just like you're doing, and stop choosing to be involved with them on that in that way, oh, I've started to have more peace, and I think to accept people as they are. They're not willing, they want to say that they can do things or are doing things, but they're not, and they don't care if you see that they're not anyway.
No, not at all. Not at all. And at least Dom is honest enough to say, yeah, I hear it. I don't practice it. I don't do it, but good for you.
Mhm.
What? then why are you even listening? Why are you involved? For your own voyeuristic and idealistic um, growth for
Mm-hmm.
yourself to discard the source of the information and to hedonistically envelop the information. Information ain't free, man, and I didn't give that information on a personal level to you because you were that self absorbed within your own ideal that you're not involved, you're just information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well I've got a whole world of fuck you step up to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that man, and I will say it to him, has shit for empathy and tolerance. And I don't know whether that's his overexposure to the point where he had become numb and saturated with overexposure to information, or whether that's just his natural nature. And he's always been like that. But it was disheartening
Yeah.
because I went to the wrong person to try and find any type of empathetic exchange.
Mm.
So I can be just as hard and cold and methodical, if not more. And I'm willing to take that on and play that. And it wouldn't be a play. It would actually be me personifying the truth of the situation as it applies to me.
Right.
But he wants, he like Cage, like the rest of them, they're not going to pop their heads up. They have no integrity. And then they'll sit back and say, well, I've got no defense because I'm just information. I'm just relaying information. No, you're projecting energy from an energy source. That's you, buddy. That's you. You can't disassociate from it because, in the grand scheme of things, say it, print it, think it, sign language it, you're projecting energy.
Yes.
And that's how I now have to approach damn near everything. Lest my mom say that I'm responsible for the rest of my life or my son's position in life that he's chosen. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to keep throwing nuggets of mediocre information out to people who claim to be able to handle great depths of information because they don't understand the ideal of their own safety protocols. And if they do, then go to a group where you can stay confined to those safety protocols. Because in this arena, you better not have none.
Mhm. Well, there's a reason why I don't really go to a lot of those other groups. I remember, I guess it's been a year ago now, where I was communicating in a group and was mostly, I think it was mostly males, not that it mattered, on the panel. And, I'm different. I'm not like a lot of other people. I don't sound like a lot of other people. And I have my own view. I come from a different path, but I do believe that we're all talking about the same thing and communicating things, and I'm wanting to learn from others. But I remember that everybody else got to speak, and when I was speaking, I was told to be quiet because they did I was interrupted. Everyone could speak uninterrupted, but I had to be interrupted. And so I said, "Oh, well, let me finish saying what I'm saying." But no, I had to stop because somebody didn't agree with me. And so they wanted to take over and say what they had to say. And I said, "But can I just finish saying what I'm saying? And then you can have your disagreement." And basically, the one hosting it told me that I had to shut up because it was his show. And whoa. I said, "Okay, I don't have a problem with that." And I didn't come back because why do I need to listen to someone tell me that I need to be conscious of others when he couldn't display consciousness of others? He was instantly triggered by something I said, and he didn't even understand what I was saying. He thought I was against him, and I wasn't. And so I don't put my energy into those. Now, I don't agree with everybody, but I take what I can and what resonates with me from what I hear, and I apply that. I use that information. It's very valuable to me. But I don't go in conflict with things that I don't necessarily agree with because I realize that my current state of consciousness is only for this moment. Tomorrow, I may realize something they said now resonates with me because I constantly change. I'm a different path from a lot of people. They're not accepting that things are constantly changing. They remain stagnant and set in their ways and they cannot be moved, which is fine. I let them. That's why I enjoy your show because I saw that what you do is you listen, you speak, you share, you voice how you see it, and you don't belittle other people. At least that's not what I've heard.
No, and even now, I'm not trying to belittle, I'm calling out. If you're
Yeah.
convicted by what you are and what you project here on this social media, whether it be YouTube or any other platform, I hope the fuck you're convicted by it because, as Dom says, I done the work
Mhm.
and it's documented. And to see these people speak because they got a YouTube education, or maybe because they've learned that somehow, like Cage, they're bulletproof, you know? I don't know if you've heard Cage before, but anytime you engage him on anything that could possibly or potentially cause him harm or disruption, no, not going to happen, not ever going to happen. And his way is going to prevail and dominate the conversation. That's why the last couple of times me and Cage got into it on here. But I did speak to him this morning,
Mhm.
and we spoke friendly because you know, I gave it a go, and we didn't end on a bad note, but it was the same thing. There was nothing new being presented at all.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard him, and I've tried to be, you know, a listener, but you know, uh, my perspective was that it wasn't enriching for me to. It just felt very immature, very childish. The conversation, the direction of it, and I realized that I was viewing my perspective, and that's why I haven't voiced anything about it because I realized that it just wasn't an enrichment for me for my current state of consciousness. That's it. I'm looking for, like you said, that at some point you outgrew David Icke. So did I. Doesn't mean that what David Icke is saying is horrible or no good. It just means that it's for somebody else's ears who's at that level. I'm at a different level. You're at a different level. And so for me, I couldn't engage with Cage and Charles and some of the others. It's just too childish for me.
Well, the metaverse is my only means of social interaction because of my physical condition. And in a state of, uh, even call it desperation and duress, you know, I found myself completely in a state of either incompassion or someone trying to indoctrinate me
Mm.
with their ideals, concepts, and beliefs. And I'm like, do you practice it? Because if you do, explain it to me.
Mm.
Detail it out so that I can understand it step by step. And then they go silent and start giving you that, well, and then, yeah, right. Ask me a question about anything that I've exposed or relayed to you in any of my conversations, and I'll break it down to the core. I live my experiences that I relay. But that's the difference between the doer and the thinky doer. Are you there? Don?
Yes, I'm
Are you
here.
muted? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were muted or
No,
whether
I
you
was
were there.
speaking. Yeah, I was speaking. I guess it was delayed. Yeah, I've been
Okay.
listening to you. Hmm. No, you
And
and
if I
I.
seem a, go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you and I are on the same page about this. What you're talking about. I know you're venting right now, and this is what's on the top of your mind, and you want to voice it. But one of the things I've recently come to learn, and I know I'm old, and I'm only learning it now, is that it's very important for us to speak our truth because the way that our souls communicate is through energy, and the energy that emits or releases some of these emotions that's trapped within us is by speaking. And so I admire you for having the courage because that's what you're using. You're using the emotion or energy of courage to speak your voice in the storm. And what's the storm? Everybody else's opinions and everybody else's responses, and still you stand firm. And so I like that.
And I agree. A lot of it is um, venting a disposition of disappointment in the conviction that others have presented to me. There's nothing more disheartening than a $5 friend that when you go to them says they can't even loan you 50 cents, but promise you $5. And that's just a metaphor, but it's kind of the same thing. They weren't worth 50 cents in the first place. They were lying about the other $4.50. They never had it in the first place.
And sometimes they got it, but they're not in a position to part with it. They want you to think of the people are constantly trying to mind control, and they don't want to be mind controlled, but they want to constantly control your mind. What do I mean by that? I mean, they want to control how you perceive them. So they want to give you a view of them. But like you've come to realize, oftentimes if you try to dig a little deeper with these people, you realize, wait a minute, something isn't right under here. Either the what's underneath doesn't match what they say, or there's nothing underneath. And that's very disheartening. You're right. It's hurtful.
Well, it's like believing in a preacher that comes to present the God and the Lord, but never read the Bible, nor studied theology, and spent half his life as a Satanist. But he's come to give you the Word of God. At least I can say I'm as evil as I am good. I'm not a role model, I'm not a hero, and I'm not an idol.
Yeah. I think that's part of the issue in us humans is that even though we know full well that we are all human, and so of course, we have what we would perceive as flaws, but flaws, the word flaws is relative. What's a flaw to someone is not necessarily a flaw to me. And so, but we trap ourselves because we then want to worship people. And then we forget that they're humans. And then we accuse them of not living up to the standard we set in our mind that they should live up to. But we're not even living up to it ourselves. So it's hilarious, this ridiculous dance we do.
Well, when I isolated myself, and that was with the the starting point of that truly was when I spent 30 days in the desert alone. I come to an understanding that I am alone. At least I was fortunate enough to have a dog with me. And when I come back into society after being out there, it was like I was dealing with a different species because no one lied to me in the desert. No one wanted anything except the rattlesnakes, the buzzards, and the coyotes. You know, my dog wanted a little food and water, some shade. I had no, I was in a no service zone, so I wasn't receiving any type of signals whatsoever. And I truly understood then in the dead silence of that place, not a noise, I could hear me. And I could hear the turmoil. And I could hear the struggle. And I could hear the dependency that I had built on my environment and the people in it. And when I come off of that sabbatical, people were a different species, which is an extreme from being an entertainer where people are necessary.
That's a great experience to have had. I'm looking forward to isolation at some point. I feel like it's what I'm ready to experience for my next level.
Profound, highly profound. But a lot of people don't get that opportunity.
Mhm.
And they live in their their confines of what they consider to be their national dream or what they've been indoctrinated to pursue or to be the acceptable peer. I never did. You know, the music industry was allowed me to spread my creative wings without restraint, um, and to a certain degree, more so than most others. And then a sabbatical after that was just even more freeing because no one was there to cheer, no one was there to judge, no one was there to instruct. There was no one there except me. And that's when I realized this is an individual journey. Not to say I didn't enjoy the music industry and all the perks that it had that went with it. It's just that I met 1,000,001 people in that industry, just like the personas that I meet on YouTube. And I almost feel sometimes as if though I'm addressing fans. You know, they all want to tell me their story, and they all want to relay their type of interpretation, whether they hated the music, liked the music, or fuck that band, or fuck him, or this. That. No, didn't matter. Not out there. And that's where I've come to again.
It does seem like that's what we do, though. What you just now described, that, expansion that you experience, the expansion of yourself when you're in the music environment, and then collapsing all of that into singularity where you realize who you are and it's just you. And some of us expand again, and we keep that going. We expand and retract and expand and retract. And it reminds me of the universe. To me, that description is a microcosm of the macrocosm, pretty much what you've described in some of your, previous streams. That's how it is. But it seems like in order for us to exist here in this crazy world, so that we don't, you're describing psychosis, so that we don't become super psychotic, is we have to realize who we are. We have to see ourselves.
Yeah, I find that to be a paradoxically daunting task for anyone who is viewing themselves on closed circuit YouTube uh,
Hmm.
broadcasts. It's an echo chamber of their own ego with filtration systems to keep anything that seems to be profoundly destructive to what they have conceptualized as their belief system and what they have chosen to set up as their safety boundaries, protocols, and they don't have to change those for anybody as long as they can close circuit themselves.
Yes.
And I could be absolutely wrong. I'm not ruling that out. I could be just an absolutely ranting maniac on here right now. And I could be completely so despondent from reality that people are probably in their best interest not to show up here. but the relevancy is in the work that they do. Does it work?
Yeah.
I know becoming this disillusioned and jaded with social media and my interactions with it was something that I really had hoped wouldn't have happened. But when you've outgrown even the YouTube intellect, and you may occasionally run into a person with a little bit higher comprehension of the all and the is, that's a rare treat. But it's so rare that it makes all the other times compile up to that feeling of jaded and almost almost stagnant state of trying to grow. And I'm talking growing by broadening your perceptions, your thoughts, removing safety protocols, going beyond the common experiencing, pushing the mind and the body to the most extreme points to achieve higher states of comprehension and even information beyond that of just a general single flow of information, but a multiple stream of information. You know, my thing is if you've got something and you've got some big secret, then tell me something. Tell me something. Enlighten me. Give me useful things to venture into and discover. I haven't had that in so long when it comes to social media that before I even turn YouTube on, I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, I find it very difficult to share anything new because a lot of the people are just so unconscious. They're so stuck, and it's you can't have a conversation. You can't just putting out information that someone doesn't comprehend at that the level they are causes them to be triggered. They don't seem to say, "Wow, that's interesting. Let me look into that." It's more of no, don't tell me about that. That's stupid. You're not on the right path, they will say. They don't realize that they're the ones who don't comprehend. You're a lot, not to be patting myself on the back or anyone to have a pompous attitude. I'm just saying sometimes you can see that a person is at a level that you've already risen from, and you recognize that because you've been doing your inner work. You recognize who you have been and where you are now. And but it's hard to talk to people at that level. And so, but that's exactly what it is like. It is very much a solo journey, and some would say a lonely journey, And I came across I'm gonna read this to you if you will allow me. I came
Yeah,
across this message a couple days ago. It says, unless one becomes detestful of this material world, it is to be understood that he has not yet entered in the spiritual understanding.
that's profound
That's
and
exactly
truthful.
where you're at. I'll send it to you later. That's exactly where you're at, brother. You have become detestful of this spiritual world, and that seems to be the path that many of us get to. And something happens to us when we get to the point where we are detestful of it, or we are no longer interested in the material world. We turn away from it in a way, and we turn towards the light, metaphorically speaking. And that starts us, or not even starts us, but propels us towards another level of consciousness for the journey of the soul. And so, some of us mourn for the past, the back when things were seemingly great in the physical world, but it was an illusion. It was a fantasy in our minds. And once you have seen the truth, you cannot go back. It's almost like wanting to be reinserted into the matrix, and that's what happens to some people. They go and they want to reinsert themselves. But for me, I'm not going back. And so I have accepted and embraced this lonely journey.
I empathize with that because it is lonely. If I
Are you
spoke the
looking at the
truth,
chat?
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
No,
I
I don't even
interrupted
see
you.
the chat. I
I
can't
was going to
even.
say,
I
mhm, there's
hold on.
Pilgrim is in there asking about you.
Yeah, get to. Yeah, I'd just completely turned away from the chat. I don't need input from Pilgrim. Greetings, Dawn. Yes, always. It's Dawn first. Yeah, you're welcome up, Pilgrim. Adman, good to see you. Oh, I'm not interested in Adman returning in shape, form, or manner to attachments and binding connections to this material existence. You don't take it with you when you die. Come in naked, you leave naked. You come in without anything, you leave without anything. So why get attached? You're just visiting. There are some things that are useful tools to help you survive if you want to continue being present in this state. Food, water, shelter, etc. But beyond that, all is vanity and enjoy your toys because you're not going to take them with you.
That's right. This life is to enjoy. It's what we make of it. And so I don't want to spend my days in this state of despair over the condition of humanity, because I recognize that I have a different purpose, a different goal to focus on, and also I recognize, like you have access, the changes in myself, and I'm so interested and focused on that. I'm not interested in going back to the material world and getting involved with what the celebrities and all these people and the politics. Some of these people are just crazy with this politics. They don't see their own insanity, that they talk about how horrible the government is, and then they cite information coming from the government. It's true because the government said it, but we don't trust the government. It happened today, and I gently tried to prod a lady in the direction of realizing, hey, you don't have to that's not real. You don't have to take that information. Yes, it is real. Here's a link to the government site, she said. Right after she was talking about how horrible the government was. And so all I could do is just giggle to myself and remember I used to be there. And then I just gave her my love and moved on away because she wants to stay awake. Or she wants to stay asleep. She's not ready to wake up. And guess what? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I need my life to be at peace.
Well, to give you a bit of method to the madness and a little madness to the method, sometimes to get someone's attention, if you put out a provoking statement, then generally they will come to just absolutely reinforce their stance, or they will show up to even conflict is better than an empty I understand, empty understand, not making any type of headway here. I understand. You know, I would like to have seen
Yes.
some people have to actually step up and explain, not with innuendos, not with what another friend went through, or not with what they did in a past experience, but with the here, now, and the present, and what they can mechanically, in a quantum way, because sometimes it's not physical, the gearing of how they achieve this, the instructions, the process.
Yep.
I bet you 8 out of 10 of them will say, well, I read from, or I heard from, or I watched. No. What was your personal journey? Explain it to me, and how you developed, and how the things that you went through were resources that allowed you to achieve your state of explaining to me what you think you understand. I can do it. Question me on anything that I have presented. I'll give you the clockwork all the way down to the gear.
Yeah. A lot of, I like Pilgrim said in the chat, it's increasingly more and more difficult to be amongst the people. He says common people, but people who aren't, like you described, not ready to be real. They just want to quote what somebody else says, which is fake. They want to create, they want to have now a fake persona in the spiritual world of themselves because they're not ready to actually be real. They still want to play the fantasy, and that's fine with them. But if you're going to ask some questions of me, then I'm going to want to ask some questions of you. And I don't want to hear you regurgitate what you read and heard someplace else. That's to me the same thing as going to one of these public schools and regurgitating what you heard there. That is not reality. Reality is what you have lived and experienced. That's what I want to hear and see. And uh, I have seen that my feeds are being more and more, I would say, stacked with more people saying exactly what you're saying right now. Where are the real people? That's what they're saying. Where are the real people? People need to be more real. And it's almost like a magnetism that is happening. It's being attracted to me of more people saying exactly what you're saying now, what we are talking about. And so it's like I don't have to be out there looking for people that are like us. They're being attracted to me now, and I don't need to go out there and look for them anymore. I have no interest in it. It's I detest it now. It's like I'm learning to speak a new language, and the new language is, like you said, energy.
Yeah.
Because when people speak, they lie. I don't need you to talk anymore. Now I'm learning to read your energy. I can feel it in my body, the energy that comes off of people. And it's an amazing thing to be at this point where I can learn this. I see Axis has gotten bumped off of the the live again, so I'll just be here until he returns. Yeah, Pilgrim, I agree. I see you said that Axis sphere of influence is spreading. Um, and yeah, about you said keep your mind safe. Yeah, in the Bible it talks about girding your loins, girding yourself. Basically putting on your armor, your shield against energies that are not in congruence with where you are. Welcome back, Axis.
Yeah, I was trying to hand out wrenches, but obviously I haven't handed wrenches out in a while, and I'm a little rusty on where I went to. Maybe somebody in the chat can remind me of how to wrench an individual up.
I know you wrenched me some time ago, but I don't know how you did it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do this without getting myself in a world of trouble. Well, I suppose it'll reveal itself before this is over. I definitely want to wrench Adman up and Pilgrim. I would love to wrench you up. I think you have a lot of good insight there. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a place where I'm healing, finally. And as we've heard in the past, you cannot heal while in the same conditions that caused you suffering in the first place, that caused your illness. In order to heal, you have to withdraw, go to a new, a cleaner, better, different environment. And everything shows that's how it works because we bleed energy to from one another. So if we want to heal and level up like what you've been doing and just telling us all this time, Axis, we do have to withdraw from those environments. And so, don't miss any of those things that did not bring you what you needed on your journey.
Um, you're absolutely right, and it's just my inability to endure any further was that I had reached the point of where people were infringing on my development and my state of cognitive stability to the point where it was either them or me. They refused to reserve themselves after looping and looping and looping and spewing nonsensical information that was not of any value whatsoever to the development of someone's advancement with or without resistance. And I'm talking broadening, I'm talking removal of safety protocols, I'm talking expanding your ability to take on new concepts, ideals, and even ones that you have yet to perceive that may seem very scary. But remember, all that fear, all that love, and all that even ego is in you. And you're the one that's projecting it. Careful who you're projected on, because they may not want it smeared all over them. Time and time and time again.
Yes. Very good point. That's actually feel like you're preaching to me. I gotta pass the plate. Because
Oh
I feel
no.
like that's a good message for me to remember. Because sometimes we love, we care about people. And so we want to help. We want to, we don't want to leave them behind, especially us women, us females. We're used to mothering and loving, and we feel like if we don't show interest and care, then the person might feel that we don't care. But in reality, uh, when they're ready, they will come.
Yeah, I'm going to have to wait for the wrench thing until I'm at least get a little more familiar with, because I haven't been live streaming on the regular anymore. As a matter of fact, I had temporarily put it completely behind me. The last good stream that I had that I felt was beneficial to both parties was the last time you and I got on there and communicated. I think we both resolved a lot of personal issues that we were dealing with.
Yeah, that was wow. That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. That was very, very helpful. It was unexpected and at the right timing. You let me ask you for help, and oh, I needed that. It was like it wasn't like I couldn't figure things out on my own. That's not what it was about. What it was about was being able to have someone to talk about this is what's going on, to sort out what's in the mind, because I'm a human being, to sort it out, to get it out there, and to help you see it clearly so that you're not mixing up emotions and all that sort of stuff, and because you're dealing with the other people in the physical world, and so you want to be sensitive and understanding, but you want to have your boundaries. And I loved how you were just you helped me push all that other stuff out of the way and just get very clear, which is where I wanted to be. Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I was very content, satisfied with our interaction there, to the point where I realized how beneficial it was to be in that conversation with you. And, I hold that because it was healing. It was it was words of healing with strength. that had substance.
Yep.
And I definitely appreciate Pilgrim and Adman and especially you, Tab. I mean, you guys are always welcome, you know. And I enjoy having a minded chat that, if anything, they're they're interacting amongst each other in a way that is beneficial to themselves, to maybe even the panel. You know, that's I think that's very important in a community.
Yes, in the community. And I think Adman has a message in how to do the wrench.
Oh, very good. Okay, let me check this out. 'Cause I definitely actually, Admin. Um, I'm working at the moment with three different phones because my computer that I watch movies on is in the middle of a movie that I've got paused and hidden, and then my other computer is got the middle of a new song that I've been creating. And if I lost either one of those, I'd be a little disheartened. I mean, you know, it's no big deal, but I had done it from my phone once before, and that's what I had hoped that I'd be able to remember how to do it again. But I'm a Gen Xer, man. My memory's going. My cognitive reasoning is slipping slowly out the door. So I may have to just wind up discarding one of the endeavors I'm on and actually wrenching you guys up to PC because it's worth it. Definitely worth it.
Well, I'm gonna have to go now because I see it's already after 10 and I've got an early start tomorrow. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you, Axon.
Absolutely, Tab. I mean, it's like I was saying the other day, um, giving you props on another channel, is that I cherish the people that come here, even if we may have indifferences or may have different degrees of concepts, understandings, and ideals. There is a common place where we can all come to an understanding, but it takes that naked transparency and exposure of one to truly reach the potential that you're looking for, because masking it, hiding it, or sheltering it behind a facade isn't doing you or anybody else any good. Basically, a lie.
That's right. That's exactly right. Thank you, brother. And I'll be here for you on Monday. I'm already
Uh,
planning.
yeah, I look for that to be trying. That's why I went ahead and gave you a heads up, because I'm not even sure that I'm going to be able to psychologically deal with such a situation, depending on which way it goes. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for the support you offer, and the support I may need. Tab, thank
Yes.
you.
You're welcome, brother. Have a good night, and good night, everyone in the chat. Have a great weekend. Talk to y'all later.
Yes,
Bye.
yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, even in the midst of personal turmoil, there's something about the tone of her voice that almost soothes the disruption. And not to mention, she's extremely logical in her approach to not only the metaphysical or the spiritual side of it, and the energy aspect, but the practical side too. I don't think she's playing games with the nature of the situation, and I really appreciate that. And Pilgrim, I am glad to meet you, man. You've got some throwing down some wisdom in the chat that I appreciate, and I hope that others find as much appreciation in. And Admin, you know we go back. You're always throwing something out there to switch the mind and get your ass thinking. You've got me a few times off guard that I wasn't expecting some of the posts that you put up, and you just really, out of nowhere, man, threw that 1-2 jab and got me while I wasn't looking, sparked my imagination into realms of possibility. Thank you, Admin. You're a great asset. Oh, and if you don't mind, I'm going to throw on a song while I take care of some personal business, and then I will be right back.
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. But necessarily my truth might not be everyone else's truth. So what's truth? You know? I say my truth or truth, but like I said, my truth might not be someone else's truth. Then I start to question, so what's truth? A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
If some of these platforms, because there's many channels here, and a lot of them actually do, if people were honest when they're coming onto panels or chat, if they don't want to be honest with themselves, they want to tear down other people to disguise themselves. So what I get from that is people are insecure by using a false sense of security to mask it. They're not actually, they actually ever challenge themselves. What would that look like? Of course, they'll be picking up, well, what about you? I said, there you go again. You're deflecting at that point. It's about you. If it's always about you, then make it about you. Be the best me can be there. Be the most selfish person you can be. So my question would be, then why are you living with the rest of us?
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
We don't consider each other. That's why most people are not rationally selfish. They're too busy being fucking selfish.
So what's truth? You know? I say my truth or truth, but like I said, my truth might not be someone else's truth. Then I start to question, so what's truth? A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear.
We don't consider each other. That's why most people are not rationally selfish. They're too busy being fucking selfish.
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
We don't consider each other. That's why most people are not rationally selfish. They're too busy being fucking selfish.
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Because it doesn't serve them to what? I'm going to sit there and hear them and say, okay, so should I tell them that they're caught up in their own world? I'm just going to replace myself. Axis, you can take over for a while. It's your shift.
Okay, I'm back and I'm on adventure now with this new AI information, and I'm going to see if we can't possibly end an inch or two out. So bear with me through my shortcomings, and as I do this, I will go attune it. Okay. What I'll have to do is wait until my state of mind is a little more stable, a lot less agitated. I am in a particularly agitated state of mind. And I do appreciate the help, Adman, but believe me, before it's over with, I will be handing you guys out your wrenches and doing that position. I do so apologize. It's just I'm really in a really distressed state of mind when it comes to the circumstances surrounding my personal endeavors with. I think everybody knows that I'm dealing with 3 smartphones, 2 laptops, and each of them have their own proprietary interface as far as button functions go, and even sometimes their tasks aren't set up the same. And I'm just not, I'm just not used to continue with it without becoming agitated more so than I am. I mean, I'd really like to keep my blood pressure at a minimum. So I hope you can bear with me on that, and at least forgive me for not being prepared to wrench out. Okay. I have several more people that I would really like to, in the bare bones nature of things, approach with some of their projected idealism and their state of some displaying their ignorance, some displaying just their lack of understanding, and some that innovatively try to spark ideals, but to the means of what end? Speculation, idealism. You know, I could sit and ponder the sky until there's just absolutely no eyesight left to observe. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to catch the full spectrum of how the luminaries function as a great clock and the cycles. And I can look at these stars and the sun and the moon and still attain no relevancy other than the fact that they are 3 different types of lights in the sky. But when you do the mathematics behind it and you endeavor to imply not only your observation, but potentially getting a clue as to what the form and the function is, that is the difference between the observer and the one who starts to comprehend how that particular state works, how that cycle works, and at least one definitive description that they could explain on how those cycles function and impact us as living electromagnetic beings in a semi-real state. I had an intent to, since I haven't for quite some time, go into the darker recesses of not only my music catalog, but I was going to share on a very rare occasion some of the more profoundly dark, denizen, and much least traveled states of my own mind that maybe you would possibly be inspired by wonderful sufferings and the gift that is given of torment and pain and of vile situations and hellscapes beyond imagination. And I probably will before the night's over with, because I'm going to continue indulging myself into this state until either I become entirely despondent of it or I just fall the fuck over. The astral sky clock moves in its own way. Yes, I definitely feel to learn and understand in our current time. Unfortunately, the influence of the sun, moon, and luminaries are powerful. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. And they repeat cycles, though we may not have lifespans long enough to live in a singular state of mind and body to calculate these things, or some people are fortunate enough that they're able to read and determine mathematically for themselves the consistency of these cycles and how their effects apply to not only the earth and the celestial states of their positionings, but also us being the intermedium between the earth and these luminaries and a vast amount of electromagnetic energy. We are subjected very highly to these heavenly bodies. And one thing that I have noticed that correlates between the heavenly bodies and their effects is not only text, not only wall carvings, paintings, etchings, describing cycles, calendars, Mayan calendars, winter, summer solstices, and the meaning behind various states of the moon and what it signifies, various alignments of the stars, and what has repetitively happened under that same conjunction and sign, maybe 36,000 years later. But it is relevant. Yes, cycles within cycles, spheres within spheres. Some say they are moved by something greater, but for us. Beautifully said, Pilgrim. Very beautifully said. And yes, there's no debating that from my observation, because I live on a 13th-month calendar, and my month starts from the new moon back around to the new moon. And I don't live by a 24-hour clock. As a matter of fact, the relevancy of my day generally is according to just a sunset and a sunrise and the procession of the shortening and lengthening of those days, but still the lunar cycle of that day remains the same. So I always know pretty much precisely either solarly by the sun and its position and by the moon, but in another state of being able to understand and tell the great clock and how it applies to us is celestial positioning of the stars. So, yes, absolutely. That's very profound, and it makes much sense. You know, if they hadn't changed that pattern of the great celestial clock into the glory clock and the base 60 and the 12-hour and days starting in the morning instead of at dusk, we might have been more resonantly in tune with each other and the earth. But that's redundant information that everybody should have at least embarked upon to understand. And it shows the measure of a person who hasn't even taken these things into consideration. It's been above your head your whole life, and you've learned shit from it other than the fact that the sun's bright and the moon might be full this month. Yeah, no shit. And I got 3 hemorrhoids. I can tell because I'm looking at them. You know, really, come on. A master of the obvious, are we? There are greater things hidden behind things that are encoded into things that are enveloped for the human eye not to comprehend, but for you to take the physical and the divine proportion and mathematics of it to see the unseen geometry and divine proportion that stands behind it. You cannot see in numbers the Fibonacci sequence, but it is evident in most everything that has the seal of creation upon it. And I'm talking the natural seal of creation. And I'm not talking, you know, the gray-haired God that sits in the sky. I'm an omnius. You know, I don't ascribe to such things. I don't ascribe to any religion. I recognize them, but it doesn't mean I ascribe to them. I would be more so to ascribe to the great movement of cycles and the effects that that has on us, more so than I would the image of some great, gray, monstrous, potentially hell, fire and brimstone, angel wielding, demon creating God that's come to torment us. I think man does that quite well on his own. Would you like to come up, man? I'll drop the link, Pilgrim. I would really love to have a I would really love to have you as a guest up here. That would be a real honor. So I'll drop the link and you decide. But you sound like, from what I'm reading here, that uh, you're definitely aware of a little bit more than your average Joe. Which is very much welcomed here. There we go. Did it show up? Yeah, there it is. Yeah. I'm curious, Pilgrim, have you ever studied hyperdimensional geometry? The unseen geometry behind the geometry and divine proportion and how it applies to the unseen equation behind it that actually is the functional part of it. Oh, bless your heart, man. Thank you for staying up this late with me. I really appreciate that. Know that you're welcome. Innovative thinking and progressive thinking and I guess a non-looping projection of one's ability to broaden themselves is always appreciated. Whether it be in chat, whether it be on panel, whether it be in comments. I used to get some pretty broad-minded people who started pushing the limits of safety protocol removal or expansion, and they would step into a little bit of the unknown, and I suppose they had reached their maximum potential even if they endeavored at all, and then they started becoming a consistent, repetitive chatter. I mean, there was nothing substantially new, and if they had found the true secret of existence or something that worked that could personify their advancement, it was either so encrypted that it couldn't be broke down for the layman, or two, they were wanting to keep that information and the gearing of it and how it works to themselves so that they could, I don't know, egotistically feel dominant over some type of intellectual awareness or even spiritual or state of being, and there's some information I don't release because I don't put loaded guns in children's hands. But I will teach you gun safety before I hand you that weapon. The ins, the outs, the pros, the cons, the ups, the downs, and the potential for hazard and gain. And I'm not talking gain as in personal wealth. I'm talking gain as in understanding, safety, precautions that you don't damage another person. Yes. Well, I kind of had an inkling, but I wasn't going to pry it. I just wanted to casually see if maybe your awareness of sacred geometry and how it applied was at least within your spectrum of understanding, and apparently it is. And it does. It becomes so profoundly deep that you realize that there's even a fractal to the micro and the macro of even the unseen geometry behind that which is visible in the waking state, until you start putting your mind through processes that allows you to see in multiple states. And one of them happens to be geometry behind the visible waking state geometry. Okay, there's some Rattblood blogs out here. And in case anybody shows up, I'll drop them a link before I decide to exit the arena and continue on my metaversal search for my own self-indulgence into the mundane. So, and I'm not sure if you're still with us or not, Pilgrim, but it's been a pleasure having you. I've really enjoyed your input in the chat. And AB Man, of course, Ab Man, always appreciated. Don, always welcome on my panel. And thank you for your soothing and empathetic compassion towards something that isn't even your endeavor. So, on that, you can all throw your little fits and, oh, there you are. Absolutely. Absolutely, Pilgrim. You are more than welcome. It would be an honor for me to have you up here and to have your insight shared. That would be appreciated, and maybe we can elaborate and expand our horizons and potentially show one another possibilities that we have yet to discover. But as for that, I have an email. It's the same as the name of my channel at gmail.com. accessrattblood@gmail.com. You're more than welcome to use that. And once I get to know you a little bit better, I'll give you some direct contact to me, and who knows, you know, it could turn into an educational arena for all of us to endeavor in without it becoming a cliche of what YouTube is. But definitely, Pilgrim, you have been a wonderful guest. Adnan, Don, very much appreciated. And if anybody remotely catches anything from this besides being offended, you should have showed up. You should have paid attention. And maybe then you would understand that when you drop your oral proctology on this channel, sometimes you may be asked to explain it. And if you can't, then don't drop it. And to everyone else, I hope you benefit from something on here. And I think my guests, my panel, and all above with you, the Axis is out.